Hello everyone, today we have OKJK's most recent deck from the Snap Battle Arena tournament. They were able to take on the entire thing, 128 players. They were able to be the winner of that tournament. They were able to take on a lot of Hawk good card lists, stature decks, a lot of Legion decks, a lot of other just variety of decks that are very common in the game right now. And this one was able to beat every single one of them. Now, this is an interesting take on a Thanos Control. Now, a lot of the other ones that kind of cropped up in popularity at the end of last season, you leveraged a Psylocke to really early ramp into Professor X and just really look to cheese that 5 cost early, whether it be a Professor X, a Spider-Man, a Devil Dino, or a Blue Marvel, get that extra value on the board early. That way you could really pressure the opponent every single turn of the game. And this one is going to be taking it very similar direction, but a little bit different at the same time. It drops the extra ramp component of the Psylocke in favor of just some more kind of consistent cards. So the Kraven with how many movement cards are stacked into this deck can get kind of wild kind of quickly. You're not going to be able to leverage it every single time, but it can be a major resource in winning whenever you do have it in your hand early. So other than that, we have so many movement cards. We have Jeff, Polaris, Spider-Man, we have Stegron, we have Vision, and we have Magneto. So 6 cards that can all be either shifting yours and your opponent cards across the board, and you can get some really big value into some of those lanes very, very quickly, and it's really hard to anticipate exactly where you're going to be fighting for every single step of the game. We also have the original Blue Marvel, because that's fantastic if your stones stick on the board. We have the Professor X, because some decks, if you can ramp into that on 4, it's going to be phenomenal at shutting those decks down. And then overall, we have the counter cards of Super Scroll, so if your opponent is running a mirror match, if they're running a Living Tribunal deck, or anything similar, Super Scroll should be able to take that and swing it back in your favor. And then Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is one of those most important counter cards. If your opponent gets a huge playoff, if they have a lockjaw and they rotate into just the most gigantic Infinite in the world, you can still win that lane instead of it being a complete loss. So we're going to be jumping into a couple of games. Overall, the deck runs really well. It is going to be just like a Thanos list. So there's some games where you're not going to get your stones. You're going to have to retreat out early. You're going to have to play this a little bit more tactically. But with these stones, with the additional draw, with the additional reach, you're going to have so many more play paths or play options if you're able to play kind of on your toes and adjust depending on what you're seeing, what RNG elements are there. Thanos has a very good advantage if you're good at doing that. And so we're going to jump into a couple of games. Real quick plug, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel grow, it helps the community grow, and we're going through just a record-breaking month. We're at like 3,000 subs for the last 28 days. When the previous 30 days, we're only pushing about 1,000 sub growth each month. We're already at triple that, and so I'm really curious how far we can take this month and how much growth we're going to see. So thank you guys as always for being here. We're going to jump into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. And so as far as this turn goes, I think that leaves us at just something like a Thanos. And then we'll go from there. If they had a Legion to try and get sneaky, then it's not great. They do have the Destroyer coming down in Limbo, but that's only going to destroy the Nimrod one time. From here, they could destroy it again, but can they get enough power output here to offset it? I don't know. If they have Shang-Chi, if they're getting really like sneaky and they have Shang-Chi, I think we do this. We're going to see if they stick it out. They may have gotten mad that we had the Professor X lock to their Nimrod, which makes sense. Nimrod is really, really scary when you're running this version. Really scary unless the opponent has like one of 3 cards. So Professor X is one of those that still really greatly derails it. We get Fisk's Tower as our first location, which is good for them, bad for us if we lean into our movement pieces. We do get Professor X here. And so I think we get a pretty solid advantage as long as we can either ramp into it or maybe even lock them down on turn 5, locking their Nimrod into place, and then they can't really spread that power out wide. So we're going to go ahead and snap into it. We don't have the ramp component. I don't think we need the ramp component in this particular matchup. I think we're very heavily favored, and so we're just going to continue to put the pressure on every single round on them. And so they do use Wolverine into Los Diablos base. We could destroy it. We could pull it and destroy it. It would regenerate, of course. I think we do Polaris to pull the Wolverine or the Nova. Not that it's going to really do much for us. That's a little bit, right? We pull the Nova out of Fisk's Tower. They do skip on 3, so I'm thinking they probably are running at least very close to the version that I posted today. It looks like maybe they subbed out the Psylocke for the magic in the version that is posted like right before this video, which is a decent one. It's definitely a decent build, unless you have somebody that is hard countering you. We're going to go ahead and play Stegron. Ew, that could have potentially destroyed their Shuri before it revealed, which would have been so silly. But it is what it is. Do we go ahead and lock in 12, 13? I almost wonder if we go ahead and lock in the ruins. If they do their Nimrod, they have to do it here. We can lock it into place. That way they can't really get any additional benefit. Or no, their Nimrod revealed in Los Diablos space, so that's where it would go. So they could do just a Destroyer. Destroyer would put 12 and 15, which is not bad. We could do this number. That could potentially grab their Destroyer. Or we could just go outright and do Magneto. Magneto's going to be the most power for us. I don't know that that wins, but we'll see. We pull their Shuri over. Ooh, are they going double destruction of the Nimrod? The Carnage is big. So Carnage gets big in mid. And then actually, their Venom gets big in the left lane as well. Wow. And so they only had 2 spaces to play within, and they were still able to outpower us from the low tempo Professor X lock. Now, had we done something where maybe we had a little bit more power on the board, I don't know. That was very well played. The Venom holding in that power was big for them. Let's see if we can outshine them. Nimrod is one of those that it over the course as other cards got nerfed, as that one got buffed, over time it found its own kind of little home or place. Let's go ahead and start with the Space Stone. I don't think they're going to have a Killmonger, knowing what kind of list they're running. I think Chavez is here. I think probably Iron Lad is one of their other cards. And then the last 2, Deathlock and then Arnim Zola, would be their exact deck. So I don't think there's going to be any surprises. There is a surprise with the Bucky Barnes. I don't know that I care for the Bucky Barnes. That puts a little bit of early power, but it gives up some of your late game or consistent power. I don't know if this is the right call. We're going to Polaris. We're going to pull Bucky Barnes over into Muir Island. That way, every turn that it gets buffed, it kind of becomes irrelevant. We're going to try and get as much power in this left lane as possible early, and we'll go from there. We could do Jeff and Muir Island, but I think we go ahead and do Spider-Man. Spider-Man pulls the Wolverine out of Muir Island, which is the one that we would have been worried about. Now, the Shuri into whatever it may be does get really scary really quickly, because if that is Nimrod, there's nothing we can do. There's not a single thing we would be able to do to stop that. Like a Shang-Chi definitely doesn't do it. If it's more of like the Iron Lad and Prey, there's a chance. Nope, it is the Shuri-Nimrod interaction. So we're going to have to rely on getting our Professor X early or them getting an unlucky draw at some point. And they always have some kind of destruction, but I'm gonna see this one out anyways. Oh my goodness. If we lose with a control-heavy deck against a Nimrod, so just one card in mid, is that going to be the Destroyer? That is the Destroyer. Instead of double destruction, they're going Destroyer. So they do win mid, depending on where Wolverine bounces to. We may have a shot at the point differential. No, we don't. We don't. All right, we have our Time Stone. We have our Professor X. All is right with the world again. We're not going to use Time Stone until until turn 3. That way we can ramp into the turn 4 Professor X. As long as we spread out the rest of our power, I think we may have a chance here, hopefully, finally. This one should be easier than what Ogre is making it out to be. So the Soul Stone, we can do Jeff plus Time Stone. Go ahead and snap into this. We could also do Craven to lean into the movement piece, but I don't think that's enough power output for us. And it's not disruptive enough for them to really care. Maybe we can slap their destruction card out of the Nimrod lane before Nimrod comes down. All right, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to do Jeff, we're going to do Time Stone, and we will see from there. Ooh, they skip on 3. So no magic yet, or they are choosing not to use the magic. But let's go ahead and do the Professor X lock. I'm going to do it... I almost want to do it into Washington, D.C. That way they can't get the extra power, because if it comes down to a point off, a power off, I think we need the extra reach in the Washington, D.C. lane. Plus, if they destroy this, that becomes a very big, 9 power card? Yeah, let's go ahead and lock in the middle lane. They do extend the game with magic in the right now. We are just looking to like pull a card over, slap a card over, tap them out where they're not intending to be now. And I think maybe we have the resources to do that finally. We also have Reality Stone to try and yank this away a turn early. What if we did Craven, and then we go ahead and do Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going to bump over here. We can move the Jeff out. Let's go ahead and lock that in. We're going to try and get them at least a little heavier in the Eternity range. But we'll find out. We'll find out if it's enough. So the double buff of the Craven is kind of cool. The Nimrod didn't get bumped up, which is also really nice for us. I think we're going to go for this. We're going to Stegron in Limbo. See if we can maybe, I don't know. We're going to slap the magic over. I thought about trying to slap the Nimrod or the Destruction Tool out of the Eternity range, but it didn't feel perfect to me. Destroyer is actually going to be fine. We finally have Shang-Chi in hand, so we are going to be able to yank that one away before the game ends. Finally we have a little gap, a little break. Let's do that, and I'm also going to do... I'm going to do Reality Stone, just because. It could give... no. Reality Stone has stabbed me in the back more times than I care to... Wait, could we have done Polaris? Yeah, we could have done Polaris. If it comes down to a point differential, I deserve to lose this one. Okay, so 2 cards. If they do a Venom, if they do a Carnage and a Venom, oh man, I'm really worried about that, about not having that Polaris. The Deathlock Destruction, oh no. It's gonna be 6 over in the left, and then the Venom. Okay, no, we're fine. Whew. We do get another 4, bringing them down to 2 relatively early on. A lot harder than it should have been. We're relying very heavily on the Professor X, which is not a direction we want to be in. All right, last round, potentially the last round. We have our Professor X, we have our Mind Stone, we have Jeff. Oh my god. Well, it is going to be what it's going to be. The only stone we have is Mind Stone, which is not going to draw anything for us anymore. Ah, that's unfortunate. Let's go ahead and play, I guess, Human Torch. We'll play the Human Torch. I don't think they have Killmonger. Oh, man. Ooh, we just win the Sanctum Sanctorum. Unless they already have their Nimrod. And maybe we save that as a surprise, right? Maybe we do something like Shocker. We Professor X lock their Nimrod lane. If that looks like the direction they're going to go, we Professor X lock it on 5 into a turn 6 Jeff to win the Sanctum Sanctorum. That's my... Never mind. We were going to do that until we didn't have a better play. We're going to use out all of our energy efficiently. The surprise factor feels good, but I don't think it was the right call. We have Gamora, which can get pretty big in one of the lanes. So if, I mean, we're going to be able to guarantee where they play on the last turn. All we have is Yellow Jacket. That's unfortunate. We're going to be able to guarantee where they play on the last turn. So Gamora is going to be a guaranteed trigger depending on what they have. If they have the Shuri, Nimrod, and a Destruction, I doubt they would have used Deathlock. And so I don't think they have the Nimrod. We're not worried about the Nimrod play anymore. Namor is an interesting one. Craven is also an interesting one. I almost think we just lock in this left lane at a loss. And then next turn we do like Yellow Jacket, Gamora. And hope that they can't outpower 17. Or can't outpower the 12. But if they do have Destroyer and they started with that in their hand, that becomes potentially problematic. We're going to lock in the Gamora. They're not going to play further into District X. There's no way. The Hazmat and the Carnage comes down. Okay. Ooh, Captain Marvel's kind of cool. I don't know that she's marvelous, but she's decent. We can lock in one of these lanes as long as we win this one. Would 5, 6, 7. That could Captain Marvel could move over here and force us into a tie in this left lane. I don't know that it's perfect, but that's the play we're going to go with. And Arnim Zola, if they do have it, if that's one of their hidden cards. Ooh, the Apocalypse. Nope, not going to be enough. Not a great way to end, but we will take it as an end. That was much closer than it should have been. Let's jump into the next one. All right, next up we have Quick. The first location is TVA. We have 3 of our stones, so Mind Stone is going to pull out an additional 2. We could almost guarantee that we'll get Time Stone or Reality Stone, so if we want to, if it looks like we're losing in the TVA location, then we can absolutely change that location at will. We also have the Soul Stone, which I think is going to be great value early game. We don't get the Time Stone, interestingly enough. But we get Space Stone and Reality Stone. So Kunlun, we can go ahead and move the Mind Stone over, get an extra +2. Let's go ahead and do the Space Stone. We'll do Soul Stone as well. And then next turn, maybe we do Power Stone plus Jeff, leaving that kind of uncertainty in the air with the Reality Stone, which we do have, but they don't necessarily know if we're going to keep the game going or not. As soon as the Reality Stone does come down, that's all she wrote. And so the Swarm comes down. Ooh, in New York, if we decided to keep the game going, would be decent, but I actually kind of like the idea of maybe doing something like this, and then go ahead and just do Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going to pull the Swarm out. It's going to move into a different lane. It's going to move it out of Kunlun. Ooh, the Lockjaw rotation could be wild. Okay, we move over into New York, so we do have a decent advantage or start in that lane. So if they just rotate a card, it may or may not be good enough. I think we have to lean in pretty heavily in these other 2 because of the Lockjaw. So I think they're running a discard list. So something like a Dracula could be very possible. I think we're going to do this. We'll lock it in. We'll leave the left lane as is. And we're just going to go for a big win in mid and right. Now, if they somehow... Ooh, the Gambit. Okay. The Gambit is interesting, but we have a lot of cards on the board. They win the left lane depending on what they rotate into. I don't think they have a shot here. Jubilee is big into Hela. Wow, that could have been crazy high roll. But all of their power did end up in the left lane. Wow. What a rotation. The Lockjaw rotation Hela resummon deck is something that I've never been able to fully commit to. It's something that I can play whenever I'm wanting to have some fun, because the high roll possibilities with that deck are just astronomical. But a lot of times it gets kind of clunky kind of quickly. Let's see if we can continue to put the pressure on. Knowing they have the Hela resummon, if we can lock in a lane with Professor X, even better. Wow, weird world. Hey, there is the Infinite. This is not great. They get our Power Stone. We don't have anything to use for the first 2 turns. We can play our Polaris on turn 3, but it's not going to reveal until later. I mean, do we go ahead and throw the Lockjaw and just go for some Hail Marys? I don't know. Lockjaw, we don't have as many good cards in our deck as they have in theirs. So I think we're just going to go Polaris. We're just going to go pure value where we can. They do stack into Stark Tower, so they're going to go for that Stark Tower bonus. Moon Knight could get kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and slap one of their cards out. Polaris will pull one out. Stegron will slap one out. Maybe we can get some benefit. Maybe we can lead in that location. The Power Stone, Mind Stone. Wow, so they drew 2 stones, neither of which draw them anything. The Calling Wing comes down. They lose their Gambit, which we're fine with. They're also very close to being capped out. If Stegron can hit this into Lemuria, beautiful. Okay. It was a chance. That would have been beautiful at stacking this location, getting them completely capped out, and then all of a sudden they wouldn't really be able to do anything. Maybe we can do a Magneto over here to overcome what they have in this lane. Professor X lock is going to be like a cheese attempt, a scam attempt, depending on what they play. They do a Super Scroll. They do our Super Scroll. And so it looks like we are going to be, I think, comfortably in the lead here. Knowing what they have and knowing what we have, their best thing is like Thanos, Magneto. I think Magneto into mid. Ooh, they have a Hela, which resummons their Gambit, which hits the Polaris, which is unfortunate. Magneto in the right lane would have won. Magneto in mid, does it win? Yes, barely. Barely. We hold it down, just barely. We'll take the 2. We'll take the sloppy 2 where we can get them. Let's jump into the next one. All right, so we start out with our Kraven this time. We do have 2 stones to draw. We have the Soul Stone, Time Stone to ramp. Let's do the Soul Stone in the right lane. I don't want to sacrifice it to Vormir just yet. I would rather sacrifice like Mind Stone or something that doesn't have that residual value. We could even sacrifice the Time Stone if we need to, but we'll see. We'll go from there. The Kraven along with the Space Stone is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do Kraven this turn. Kraven this turn. Next turn we do Space Stone, Time Stone, and Power Stone. Ooh. Sinister London is both good and not good. We could do... I don't think we need the full-on ramp, right? I think just a singular ramp, a double Space Stone. That way we could move a card out of the Kraven lane and move a card into the Kraven lane, keeping that space equilibrium. They could have double Gambit, which would be kind of scary, but we're also going to draw through 3 cards here, potentially getting a Professor X lock in the process. Beautiful. That is all that we need here. The Gambit comes down. It doesn't really matter what it hits. They lose their Magneto. They lose their Hela, so no resummon option for them. We get Wasp and they get Doctor... What? What? Oh no, what is that? Oh no, someone's the favorite. This was a super comfy win. Until. I can't even imagine. Oh, what is that nonsense? I don't think we can win here. Polaris to give us some additional power here. And then maybe next turn we can do a Professor X? I don't know. I'm going to try the double Polaris into the double Professor X. Oh, we get a Wasp and they get a Doctor Doom. Insanity. We would have been able to lock in the right lane, I think. They lose their Swarm, so they will be able to flood this next turn. Falling Wing is also going to pull into and buff up our Kraven, and then we'll pull it back out next turn, or after Polaris copies, which is big. That gives us a decent amount of reach there. We might be able to lock in Sinister London, but we also might not. Still can't believe we got bamboozled that badly. You know, let's go double Spider-Man, just for some added chaos. I don't feel comfortable in a Professor X lock. They have too big of a lead here, and we would give them a guaranteed win in one of the lanes. So let's go double Spider-Man. Ooh, they skip into an Infinite, right? Oof. Okay, ooh, we do cap them out of Vormir. And, oh, no, we don't. Okay. What is going on with this RNG? We do buff up our Kraven twice because Spider-Man bounced back over there, but is it, was it worth it? No, let's go ahead and retreat out. Oh, man. It all happened with this. It's monstrosity. That was such a hard counter. A 0 cost to a 6 cost complete board presence spread was wild. Okay, Los Diablos base comes in. I'm going to go ahead and play the Power Stone. We don't get our draw. We don't have like our stones to draw, our Professor X for the ramp. We do have Elysium, and we do now have Time Stone. Do we... I almost want to use Time Stone for the additional draw. We don't know how long Elysium's going to be around. What a beautiful top deck there. Oh my god. We're going to go ahead and snap on him. Goodness. We used the Time Stone into drawing into Professor X, giving us a turn of 3 Professor X lock. Even if they go with some kind of rotation in the lockjaw lane this turn, we're going to have it locked in because we have priority, so their card won't be able to leave the board. And then we're also going to pull into something in Sakaar. So hopefully maybe a Thanos if our RNG for this turn continues as good as it has been. And they do play in the left lane. They could do a Gambit. No, a Jubilee. Okay. Jubilee in the left lane is big. It pulls into Dracula. We pull into Thanos, which is just absurd. They do get Magneto. We have Shang-Chi to help counter that right lane. And... Or... It's not as great, but we can do Spider-Man here to bounce into Los Diablos base. We have Stegron to slap one of their cards over into Los Diablos base. Now, the only downside is the Dracula is that uncertain amount of power. So I would almost rather try to get everything stacked over here. Maybe we do that. Let's do Spider-Man, see what it pulls into this lane, and then maybe we do a Stegron after. Who knows? They could be doing an Infinite this turn. We do pull away from the Dracula, so this is a little bit more congested. Let's do... You know, we're going to do Stegron. We pulled him over just to slap him back again. I think they probably do Infinite here, so whatever Stegron hit, Dracula could be awful. The Infinite would be fine, but I do want to kind of create a spread here. So we're going to do Stegron. Next turn we have the Shang-Chi. That is going to be what we're really leaning into. And what I think will trip Quick up is the fact that we have the Shang-Chi to counter their Magneto, to counter their Infinite, to counter their big, heavy plays. Unless they do Moon Knight here. We didn't leave enough cards in our hand. If they do Moon Knight, we lose. Okay, so we slap the, hopefully Infinite. Hopefully Infinite. We do draw Magneto. Okay, the Infinite over there is fine. We can handle the Infinite over there. Whew, I got scared for a second about Moon Knight and us only having one card. Let's go ahead and do this. The Super Scrolls just for flair. We're going to do the Shang-Chi, take out this Magneto, this beautiful Magneto variant, by the way. We're going to take out the Magneto variant. And then I think we should win the right lane. We're not going to aim for the left lane just because Infinite is huge and it's going to absorb something additional at the end of the game. They haven't discarded anything, so they don't have free swarms. The most that they could do would... They actually haven't discarded anything either, so a Hela resummon doesn't do anything for them. They do double dip into the right lane. How much power do they put? There's no way it's more than 23, right? Although... Okay, no. The Chavez plus the Calling Wing was big, but not going to be big enough. They absorb their Gambit. We do hold down the game versus Quick. We're going to go ahead and end the video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Overall, I think the list is fun. I don't think I'm big-brained enough to play it consistently, just because there's a lot of different choices that you have, and that's one of the benefits of Thanos. We're going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.